Hello, and welcome back to me redrawing Monster High characters in hopes that Mattel will bring my girls back so that I can get yet another dose of serotonin in these hard times. Part 2. Last week I uploaded my first set of 7 redesigned characters, and this here is week 2, also known as my golden week. Like, this is the week when I felt like that bitch. Leonardo DiCaprio and Leonardo da Vinci could apparate right in front of me and tell me that these drawings are trash, and I'd still be like, no, darling, sweetie, honey, I am the moment. I am the tea. That's how much I actually like how these drawings came out. I know I'm overselling them, but I think that's how cocky I feel about these. Side note, throughout the video there's going to be this weird kind of fisheye lens going on. It's mostly because I got a new webcam, and well, I don't know how I feel about it. Anyways, without further ado, here is Day 1 of Week 2. The randomizer chose Cleo Denial, Monster High's resident queen bee. Now, as many of my close friends know, I refuse to shut up about the time when I worked at a King Tut themed gift shop. I was super into Egyptian studies at the time, and still am. And I taught myself a little bit of hieroglyphs. So needless to say, I was very excited when the wheel landed on Cleo. So Cleo is a mummy. Her name is derived from the famous Cleopatra. She starts out as the mean girl in school, but then we find out that once you befriend her, she is the most loyal ride or die friend. She's a very entertaining character who always has a comeback, and I really recommend y'all read her fandom wiki about section because her story is wild. So, what have I done here? So I gave her a variation of this gold bird headdress that I saw in this papyrus painting of Cleopatra. I kept her color palette of gold and light blue, and I kept her sacred bandages pretty much the same. You know how in her original design she has like leggings kind of, but they're made of her sacred bandages that apparently she has to wear at all times, or else like she rots or something like that. I added this sheer blue skirt plus this top, and I also added a lot of gold, lapis, and carnelian jewelry, as you can see right here. Then I drew these wings based on the goddess Ma'at's statue that you can see right here. Then I drew her hair in some very long braids with golden beads at the bottom. And lastly, I wrote her signature catchphrase in a cartouche. It says, "Oh my Ra." Now, I'm no expert, so I'm only 80% sure that I wrote it right. All in all, not a bad way to start the week. Day 2, we have Bonita femur. She is the moth skeleton hybrid. Now here's a character that only appeared in one of the movies and then was kind of just forgotten about afterwards. I've always really liked her design though. Like, I think the artist really popped off with these wings. So I wanted to focus on the wings more, which is why they are so big. totally not, because I'm not great at composition. I decided to keep the clothing pretty simple. Since she's half skeleton, I gave her this corset to enhance the fact that there ain't no meat on those bones. And I based it a bit on Violet Chachki's Death Becomes Her runway, which is when she had like a 10-inch waist. To balance out the page, I gave her a lot of hair, and I gave it a bit of a wave just to like give it some movement. And also, she is known for being very jumpy, nervous, so I gave her a very worried looking face. Day 3. Lady Luck smiles on Heath Burns, Monster High's resident douchebag. Heath is a fire monster, as you can see right here. He is very full of himself, and he's kind of a huge flirt. Now, I don't draw guys a lot, but I actually really like how this one came out. I gave him this like muscle shirt and some patched up jeans with like this fire type of design, and it's very Venice Beach skater fashion. Honestly, I really want these jeans. Like, they probably wouldn't even look that great on me, but in my mind, I'd be rocking them. Now, I don't have much to say about this one. I just really like the vibe he's exuding. Day 4. The spirits of the wheel chose Casta Fierce. She is a witch, and she is the daughter of Circe? Circe? I mean, there's two ways to pronounce it. But yeah, she's from Greek mythology, and she can turn anyone into an animal. And she's also a famous musician. Her band is called The Spells, which is actually based on Destiny's Child. Yes, that Destiny's Child. In fact, Casta herself is inspired by Beyoncé's alter ego, Sasha Fierce. So, taking that into account, I based Casta's design very heavily on Beyoncé. I combined these two Beyoncé dresses, and I changed them to Casta's signature colors. I also changed Casta's hair to look more like this Beyoncé hairdo. And I'm just very happy how this one came out. Like, this gradient, I am very proud of it. Day 5. The Wheel of Destiny lands on Claudine Wolfe, our favorite werewolf. Claudine is the school's fashion expert. She is always wearing the most daring and fashion-forward outfits, and she most likely made said outfits, if we're going by the book's characterization. She's very into DIY, and I really respect that. I noticed that she wears a lot of fur, animal print, neon colors, and like shades of purple. And she also has a lot of moon imagery incorporated into her designs. So for her outfit, I looked at a lot of fashion runways, and I ultimately ended up inspired by Shea Coulee. In fact, these little sunglasses are the same as Shea's. I also gave her curly hair because I really love how she looked in these two films, and I really tried to make the curls look very tight and soft yet textured. Lastly, I gave her an eye coffin in her hand, because she is a businesswoman doing a lot of business. And what sort of business, you may ask? Well, if you know, you know. Day 6. The gods told me to draw Lorna Magnesi, the Loch Ness Monster's daughter. Lorna is an exchange student from Rutland. No relation to Scotland. She's very cheery and very curious of the surface world. And she has a habit of like photobombing tourists, which is why her papa decided to send her to Monster High because humans had started to explore the loch, endangering the entire family. For her design, I didn't change her too much, but I did focus on making her scales a bit more obvious and pronounced. And I also did like this gradient on her hair that I'm actually kind of proud of. To be honest, I was kind of losing steam at this point, but I still really like how she came out. And I really love her scales. Like if you notice, this is just like a simpler redesign of her original design. So in other words, it's a little bit lazy, but I'm still pleased with it. Day 7. At this point, I skipped some days for lazy reasons, but we are back with Rebecca Steam. She is a steampunk robot built by the mad scientist and certified daddy Hezekiah Steam at the end of the 19th century. Somewhere along the way, she and her father were separated, and she was completely devastated. Later on, she became a competitive roller skater in which she was quite literally obliterated by the opposing team because they cheated. So she was basically destroyed and dismantled for an entire century until our favorite gals rebuilt her. And now she continues to look for her father, and she also continues to be a superstar at roller derby. I really like the steampunk subculture. I'm not too educated on it, obviously, but I do enjoy it. Here I drew Rebecca in this like fun jacket with like puffed sleeves, and it's got tons and tons of buttons. I wonder who may have inspired that. The hat is directly inspired by the one in her special collector's doll set with her dad, and I really liked this set, and had I been a rich girl, I would have bought it. I wanted to really drive home the fact that she is made out of metal, so she gets tiny little bolts and screws and panels everywhere, as well as a lot of gear imagery. And lastly, I included her iconic rocket boots. Now, for this week, I can't say that I have a least favorite. Maybe just a couple that I didn't put as much effort into. But I really do like how all of these came out. So, all I can tell you is that Cleo is my favorite of this week, closely followed by Claudine and Casta. Week 2, in my opinion, was my strongest week, and I don't hate any of these. And yes, this means I have peaked. Tune in next week for another set of 7 characters. It can only go downhill from here. As always, remember to wash your hands, wear a mask, and stay inside if you don't want to wear a mask. And thank you for watching. Mattel, bring them back, please. Bye.